Well, thank you for everyone that's joined the call. I'm going to get started with Gala, and I'm going to talk about that. Then I'm going to talk a little bit about the CRM that we're going to be launching here shortly. And again, this call is open to questions. So if you have questions, don't hesitate to ask. You may be a little fearful of asking a question you think is a dumb question. There are no dumb questions. You could be wanting to ask a question that five other people are wanting to ask. So, this is open forum, so don't hesitate to ask questions if you have questions. So to start off with, we're talking about Metro2 compliance. And for those that are not aware, when we mention Metro2 compliance, what we're referring to are the reporting standards that the credit bureaus themselves created and put in place back in the mid 90s when they put eOscar in place. A lot of people are not aware of this, but eOscar is a Metro2 compliance system. So when they put the Metro2 compliance reporting standards in place, that basically told data furnishers how they must report data. It must be reported electronically directly to eOscar. There's certain information that's required. That information has to be in a specific format. And it also dictates what information can report on a credit report and how that information is to report on a credit report. So when we talk about Metro2 compliance, what we're talking about is leveraging the credit bureau's own reporting standards against them to get negative items removed from a credit report. Rodney says this, all the time, that there is no such thing as a deletion. All they're going to do is remove it from reporting. It does not actually get deleted. So what we're after is we're after negative items being removed from reporting off an individual's credit report. And to do that, what we do is we leverage those compliance standards by evaluating the credit report, finding data points that are non-compliant, meaning they do not meet those compliance standards, and then we're formulating an argument that we're making with the bureaus of why that information should be removed from a credit report. And we can do this by utilizing software. The document that the bureaus send out every single year that outlines all of the Metro2 compliance reporting standards for the data furnishers is like 360 pages long. There's a lot of information. All of that has been programmed into Gala. So Gala is able to evaluate the credit report and it's able to find those deviations in the reporting standard. In fact, when I say deviation, what I'm referring to is a data furnisher deviating from following the standards. The bureaus themselves have stated that any deviation of the standard jeopardizes the integrity of the data. I mean, that's their own words. And so what we're doing is we're leveraging those standards to get negative items removed from a credit report. Gala is set up to work specifically with the Epic Pro report that has been created by MyFreeScore Now. They actually created the Epic Pro report in combination with Rodney, who created Gala. And they did that so that it's easier for softwares like Gala and Rodney's original software, Prodigy, to identify deviations in the standards based on the credit report. So it's actually got Metro2 compliance markers embedded within the coding of the credit report. So they kind of go hand in hand. They kind of tied together. Gala was created to utilize that Epic Pro report to help individuals identify deviations in the standard so that they can formulate arguments for removal. So if you're not familiar with Gala, Gala is a software that was released about a year and a half ago. Rodney Peete created Gala. He is the individual that realized back in the 90s that you could utilize Metro2 compliance for credit repair. So he developed what is referred to as the Metro2 method. And so he created Gala. It's his latest development in terms of Metro2 compliance software. What differs with Gala than any other software out there that claims that they do Metro2 is that Gala has LI, learned intelligence. And, I want to make it clear that putting the words Metro2 compliance in a letter does not make it a letter that's leveraging Metro2 compliance. A dispute letter with the words Metro2 compliance is nothing more than a dispute letter with the words Metro2 compliance. It's not actually leveraging any reporting standards. What Gala does is Gala evaluates derogatory items on a credit report, and it's identifying data points that are non-compliant, and then it's formulating arguments based on the non-compliant items for removal from a credit report with the bureaus. So Gala is a software that's got LI, learned intelligence. It's learning daily what works and what doesn't work with the bureaus. What worked 6 weeks ago, what worked 6 months ago may not work today. The bureaus are constantly changing. They're constantly changing what they will respond to and what they will not respond to. And Gala's learning that information. It evaluates results over the previous 90 days, and it updates itself 8 times a day based on what it's learned. So it may learn that certain words trigger higher deletion rate than other words. So it's going to emphasize those particular words in the arguments, but it's not only based on the derogatory accounts, it's based on the bureaus themselves. What's effective with Equifax may not be effective with TransUnion, and what's effective with those two bureaus may not be effective with Experian. So when we generate letters, every letter is 100% unique. It's 100% unique to the derogatories, and it's 100% unique to the bureaus. So Gala is evaluating results over the previous 90 days, and it's starting to store all of that information. We call it logics. It's storing all of that logics in the DRM, which is detailed results matrix. And it's collecting that data. So when you upload a report, Gala's going to evaluate that report. And if you have a collection from LVNV on your credit report, Gala's going to evaluate that report. It's going to say, okay, based on what I've learned over the previous 90 days, this is going to be the most effective approach to trying to get this collection deleted. And it actually has a threshold. Anything that's below 85%, the system kicks out. Anything that's delivered a result 86% of the time or more, it's going to store that data, and it's always going to use whatever produces the highest results. So you may have one particular argument that gets results 88% of the time, but you have another argument that may get results 91% of the time for a collection from LVNV. So the system's going to use the argument that got deletion 91% of the time. Just because a particular argument gets a deletion 91% of the time doesn't mean it's going to get that item deleted from your report. It may take multiple attacks or multiple challenges before that item gets removed. So that's why, we keep going. We don't just send one round and then stop. We keep going because every time Gala evaluates that credit report, it's identifying those data points, and it's going to formulate new arguments based on different variations of the data points. So if you're not familiar with Gala, this is Gala. It's www.m2gala.com. You go to that domain, and you're going to click register. And then once you click register, you enter your first and last name. You enter your MyFreeScoreNow username. That would be your affiliate username. Put your phone number, and then you create a username and password for Gala. I use my email address, but you can use your business name. You can use any name that you want. You're going to create a password, then you're going to confirm your password, and you're going to click register. There is no cost to register with Gala. Once you're registered and you log in, you're going to see here on the left, we have our menu, and you're going to see right here, it says, manage my CRO account. This is your profile for Gala. This is not your profile if you're wanting to work on your credit. This is your profile for Gala. So you're going to enter your information, and then you're going to update information. Okay, you could upload a personal image of yourself, or you could upload a company logo, or like myself, I didn't upload anything. Then if you want to work on your own personal credit, you come down here where it says manage my own client account, and you're going to enter even more information. This is the information that's going to be on the letters that we send to the bureaus. Okay, you're going to upload your identification documents. You're going to ensure that your MyFreeScoreNow username and token is entered. And when you click save, it's going to save your profile. It's going to automatically upload your credit reports for you. Okay. Now, when you're ready to generate or when you're ready to create a profile for a client, you go to manage my clients and you create a profile. So I'm just going to open up a profile that I created for one of my sample profiles. Okay, and you can see I've got John Doe Jr. I've got the date of birth. I've got the last four of the social. Now, My Free Score Now does accept ITINs now. And because they accept ITINs now, there's an option for that. If your client has an ITIN number, you can select ITIN and then enter the last four of their ITIN. If they have a social, you select social and you enter the last four numbers of their social. Okay, you're going to type in the street address, and I want you to notice that I typed in Northwest. I didn't put NW. I spelled out street. I didn't put ST. I put a space and then I put an apartment number. This is considered compliant. Remember, we're arguing compliance with the bureaus. Therefore, we need to ensure that what we submit to the bureaus is compliant. Okay, you do not abbreviate. You do not put the number sign and then the apartment number. You don't put APT and then the number. It's just a space and the apartment number. Okay, you put your city, you select your state, you're going to enter your zip code, you're going to put your client's email address, you're going to upload your client's identification documents. Now, what you don't see is the credit monitoring. So if I were to create a new profile, you notice that at the top, it has a space for their My Free Score Now username and a space for the token. You can generate the token through your affiliate portal, or you can log into your client's credit report and you can generate the token that way. There's actually two videos on the homepage that show you how to generate the tokens either way and where to place those tokens. So you have one video here and then you have this other video here. And what's nice about the token is the token allows Gala to communicate with My Free Score Now. So when it's time to do your client's next round, you can go to Manage Clients and you can find your client and you can click right here where it says Refresh Report. Gala's going to communicate with My Free Score Now. It's going to refresh that report and it's going to automatically upload that report. Now, I'm going to click it and it's going to say that the report is already up to date. That's because I uploaded this client today. But I would click refresh and it says that the report is already up to date. If you click refresh and you get that, click import report and then click the center icon and it's going to upload that report for you, because sometimes clients log into their own account and they refresh their own report. So that's what you do if the report is already up to date. If the report's not up to date and it's time for a refresh, it will refresh the report and then it will upload the report. Okay, so now I'm ready to generate my client's first round. So I'm going to go to the attack area and I'm going to select my client, my sample client. And all you have to do, okay, is click Create Now. It's giving us this red box or this yellow box. If you click on that, that means that there's missing information. As you can see, I'm not missing any information. That's because they just within the last couple of days put the option to select Social Security number or ITIN. So any account that I had in the system previous to that is showing that yellow box, but there's not any missing information. But if you see that yellow box, you want to click on the box and you want to see if there's any information missing. If there is, you want to input that information and then click Save. Okay, so we're going to go to the attack area. I'm going to select my client. Okay, and all you have to do is click Create Now. Gala's going to evaluate the credit report. It's going to identify the derogatory items. It's going to identify the data points that are non-compliant. It's going to formulate an argument for those data points based on what it's learned to be most effective, and it's going to create your letters. The number of letters you get is going to be dependent upon what's on that credit report. I've done attacks where I've had 6 letters. I've done attacks where I've got 8 letters, others where I've got 9 letters, some where I've got 12 letters. It really comes down to what's on that credit report. There are going to be times when Gala may generate 2 letters for Experian, 2 for Equifax, and 2 for TransUnion, because it may have learned that when we attack certain items by themselves, we get better results than if we attack it with everything else. So it may create multiple letters for the primary bureaus. It's also going to create letters for the 6 largest secondary bureaus, that being LexisNexis, Innovis, Factor Trust, CoreLogic, DataX, and Clarity Services. Now, it's entirely up to you if you want to mail those letters for the secondary bureaus. I personally do, because that is part of my sales pitch to prospects. I, sell them on that I'm going to be disputing with 9 bureaus instead of 3 bureaus. Therefore, I'm providing more of a service than anybody else because I'm disputing with 9 bureaus instead of 3. But that's entirely up to you. You may get letters for creditors. I personally do not mail letters for creditors. It's been my experience over the years that it's a waste of time and money, because when you're utilizing compliance, they're not required to respond to you. In fact, if you request validation, they're not required to respond to you. So I don't send letters to creditors because it's just a waste of time and money. So I'm ready to generate my attack. I click create now, and Gala is going to evaluate that credit report, determine the most effective manner in which to attack these derogatory accounts. And then it's going to start creating my letters. Once it's done, it'll give me the option to download and then close. Okay, so now it says download and close. Okay, now, if I have done 5, maybe 6 rounds for a client, and I've got 2 or 3 accounts that have kind of stuck around, I'm going to want to get more aggressive. And to get more aggressive, you want to select your client. And right here where it says show content boxes, I'm going to click that. And what that's going to do is that's going to show me every negative item, or every item on that credit report, both negative and positive. Every item on that credit report is going to show that to me. Okay. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to select here where it says separate from other PNTs. PNT stands for primary negativity type. So an inquiry is a negativity type. It's a type of negative item. A charge-off is a negativity type. It's a type of negative item. Collections, accounts with 1 to 2 payments, accounts with 3 or more late payments, bankruptcies, repossessions, student loans, those are all different negativity types. Okay. And when I select separate from other negativity types, what I'm telling Gala to do is to create a separate set of letters for each negativity type. So if I have a client that's got 3 charge-offs and 2 accounts with 1 to 2 late payments, and let's say a repossession, when I do this and I generate my attack, what's going to happen is Gala's going to create 3 letters for the personal identifiers, 3 letters for the inquiries, 3 letters for the charge-offs, 3 letters for the accounts with 1 to 2 late payments, and 3 letters for the bankruptcy, because I've separated the negativity types. Okay. I may have 21 letters. I may have 15 letters or 18 letters or 24 letters, depending on what's on that credit report. I'm going to print and mail all of those letters except for creditor letters. I'm not going to print and mail creditor letters. That's going to include the 6 secondary bureaus. Now, it does not separate the negativity types for the secondary bureaus. It only does it for the primaries. So I could do an attack and I could have letters that, so I'm going to go ahead and do it for this, sample client. And I'm going to click create now. And then I'll show you the letters for the same client, but doing it each way. When you separate negativity types, you're being very specific and very precise on the negativity type. Therefore, that letter is going to be geared towards that particular negativity type. So the letter is going to be specific to charge-offs. The next letter is going to be specific to inquiries. The next letter is going to be specific to accounts with 1 to 2 late payments. Okay. They're more aggressive because we're being specific, but also because we're putting fewer items per letter. if I've got a client that's got 3 charge-offs, the only thing on that letter is the 3 charge-offs. It's not going to have the personal identifiers, the inquiries, the charge-offs, accounts with 1 to 2 late payments, and the bankruptcy. It's only going to have the charge-off. That's a more aggressive, therefore potentially more effective letter. Okay, I do that fifth after I've done 5 or 6 rounds. It really depends on the client. If I've got a client that's got 30 negative accounts and 250 inquiries, even if I've done 6 rounds, I may still have 10 negative accounts and a bunch of inquiries. I may not do separate from other P&Ts yet. I may wait until I've done 9 rounds, just depending on the client. Everybody's different. Every client's different. Every credit report's different. So I make that determination based on what round I'm on and how many rounds I've done, or what round I'm on and what's on that client's credit report. Now, if I have a client that has a bankruptcy, okay, I want to isolate the bankruptcy on the first round. I can do that. It's very easy to do, but it does require that you use more than one credit. Okay, so if I select John Doe, I'm going to click Expand Options. Then I'm going to click where it says Show Additional Information. Okay, and I'm going to come down here and I'm going to, what am I doing? What am I doing? Oh, right here where it says Expand. Give it a second. And then I'm going to, right here where it says Do Not Attack at the very top, I'm going to select that box, if it'll let me. Come on. I'm going to select that box. What I'm telling Gala is to not attack anything on that credit report. And then I'm going to find, I don't have one, but I'm going to pretend I have one. I'm going to find that bankruptcy by clicking on the circle, and then I'm going to unselect the bankruptcy, and then I'm going to generate my attack. And what that's going to do, it's only going to create, it's going to create letters, and the only thing on those letters is going to be the bankruptcy. Then I'm going to do it again. I'm going to do Expand Options. I'm going to, select, Show Additional Information, Expand. And this time, I'm not going to select Do Not Attack, okay? But I am going to find the bankruptcy. Let me start over. Okay, attack area. You can't really go back and forth like that. I apologize. I live in the country and Zoom really slows my internet down. Okay, so expand. I did forget to mention. So let's say I'm on round 1. I have a client that's got a bankruptcy. I just generated an attack for the bankruptcy by itself. Okay, I'm going to click Show Additional Information. And Gala's going to tell me that I'm on round 2. But I'm actually on round 1. So I'm going to go back and select round 1. Then I'm going to expand. And then I'm going to find my bankruptcy, and I'm going to select the bankruptcy for Do Not Attack because I've already attacked the bankruptcy. Okay, now I need to attack everything else. Okay, so I'm going to come here, find the bankruptcy, and I'm going to select the bankruptcy to Do Not Attack. And then I'm going to generate my attack. And what that's going to do is that's going to create letters that only have the bankruptcy on it. And then it's going to create more letters that has everything else. And then I would print and mail those letters. That way I'm isolating the bankruptcy by itself and I'm being more aggressive. Now, if you want to go ahead and separate from other P&Ts from the very beginning, you can do that. Just understand when you separate other P&Ts, you're going to greatly increase your letter count. And by greatly increasing your letter count, you're going to increase the amount of work you have to do, and it's going to increase your cost. If you've got 24 letters, it's going to take a lot more time to print 24 letters than it would 9 letters. It's going to cost you a lot more to print and mail 9 letters than it is to print 9 letters. So, I'm sorry, print and mail 24 letters than it does 9 letters. So you have to keep that in mind. That is how you go about generating attacks. Okay, I see we've got a couple of questions. Okay, Maurice asks, I separate negativity types after I've done 5 or 6 rounds. Okay, I want to give myself an opportunity to get as much deleted as I can before I go aggressive, because when you go aggressive, you increase your letter count. But let's say, for example, I've got a client that has 2 charge-offs. If I can get those 2 charge-offs deleted on, let's say, the first 5 rounds, when I go to separate negativity types, that's one less set of letters that I create because I no longer have charge-offs. So my objective is to try to get as much deleted as I can and then go super aggressive on what's remaining. So I typically don't do it until after 5 or 6 rounds. But again, every client's different. Every credit report is different. I have a client that's got 2 negative accounts and that's it. And then they got 2 inquiries. I may separate from other P&Ts starting on round 1 because I want to try to get those items knocked out as quickly as possible because there's only a handful of items. I'm not going to have a large number of letters. Okay, if you only want to generate letters for 3 bureaus, that's easy. So I can go here. So let me go back to attack area. Again, I apologize. My internet gets slow, especially this time of the day. So I'm going to select my sample client. And I'm going to expand. Okay. And then I'm going to click show additional information. And when you do that, you see everything that's happening behind the scenes. And right here where it says negativity to challenge, you can, so what was it that you asked? Oh, you only want to do, okay. So you scroll down and you unselect everything other than the primary. So you unselect all of these other options. So the only options selected are TransUnion, Experian, and Equifax. Then you would come down, then you would click expand. And what you'll see when you look at all these, okay, so it didn't actually do it. So right here, you would go to, you can click here. I don't know why it didn't, but you can unselect right here. You can select what bureaus you want, what bureaus you don't. I'm surprised it didn't unselect those. So like right here, you can see this item is only being attacked with Equifax. That's because the system has learned that, and the system has learned that it's more effective to attack with Equifax than it is with anything else, meaning the secondary bureaus. Okay, same thing here, only with Experian. So you can unselect the bureaus this way. It should have done it when I did it the other way, but it didn't. Again, you can unselect. And you may notice that some items have secondary selected and some items don't. That's because the system has learned that some items just aren't effectively attacked with certain secondary bureaus, so it doesn't include them. That's why all of your letters are different. You have letters for, let's say, 3 primaries and the 6 secondaries. Some letters may be 9 pages, other letters may be 11 pages, some may be 12 pages, some may be 14 pages. It's because the system selected what items we're attacking with the bureaus. And then you would, of course, you can go through, like I said, you can deselect it. Okay, but here's the thing. I don't even do this. If I'm not going to send letters to secondaries, just print and mail the letters for the primaries. Don't print and mail the letters for the secondaries because this is time consuming. So if you only want to send letters for the primaries, only send the letters for the primaries. That's your choice. I personally send letters to the secondaries, but that's my choice. Any questions?
Hey Brent, I have a quick
Yeah.
question for you. So I know how with other strategies, like a month one strategy, we used to do that tree shake, right? For like
Okay.
month
So
one.
yeah, I mean that's essentially what round 1 is. So let me just show you, for
Yes,
example. So let
please.
me go to
Thank
the attack area. Okay, I generated this particular client's first round attack this morning. Okay, again, I apologize, my internet's slow. So this particular client, I added today and I generated her attack. If I were to expand options, show additional information, you will see that I'm on round two. Round one is the tree shaking wave. We just don't call it that. We don't have names for all the different attacks. This is just the round one is the tree shaking wave.
Okay. So if
That
I
was
let
Rodney's initial when he
okay.
first started doing Metro2. That was what he had names. He had a million names for all these different attacks. He did away with that because it's too confusing. So round one
Right.
is the tree shaking wave.
Okay. So kind of letting the software make its own decisions, that aspect is baked in is what I'm
Correct.
hearing.
Now
Great.
you have the option. Okay, so I want to show you this because I did get a couple of messages about this. If you look here where it says attack format type, you'll notice all these different attacks. Okay. These are attacks that Gala chooses from based on
Mhm.
what's on the credit report. Gala may say, based on my data that I've collected over the previous 90 days, a factual dispute works best with this particular account. It may say consumer law works best with this other account, and Lava works best for these other two accounts. So it can utilize any one, two, three, or combination of attacks in your letters. Okay, that's why I allow CMSO to always be selected. That is how it's selected by default. What we're saying is we want Gala to use the current most statistically optimal attack. So what that means is use the best attack based on the data that you've collected. Now, there are people that want to use the lava attack. They love the lava attack and get some really good results on the first round. You can definitely do that. But what you have to understand is lava may be great for 5 out of 6 things on your credit report. However, fire may be best for all 7 things on the credit report.
And the software would know that.
Right. And the software knows that. So if you leave it on CMSO, it's going to select what attack it uses for your challenges. Now,
Okay.
if you notice, this one says in updates. Okay. This one says in updates. This one says in updates. That's because Gala is updating that attack based on what it's learned over the previous 90 days. Maybe it's learned that this particular word really triggers deletions with Experian. So it's updating this attack to include that particular word in the language.
Okay.
Because
Thank
like
you
I
for
said,
explaining.
every letter is unique, and I'll show
Okay.
you examples of that, of what I mean. So these are all the attacks, and you notice that this attack is called Monkey. That is an attack that Gala created itself based on what it's learned. This attack is called Gala Simple. That is an attack that Gala has created based on what it's learned. And if you look at some of these, like this particular attack is specific to delinquency lates. Well, what is a delinquency late? A delinquency late is an account that's got 1 or 2 late payments. A derogatory late is an account that's got 3 or more late payments. So like I said, Gala may separate items on a different letter. So it may use this particular attack for accounts that have 3 or more late payments, and there'll be a separate letter for that, and then it'll use a different attack or a combination of other attacks for everything else. So, it's, if you actually take the time to read this, you'll see how these attacks are formatted.
Okay.
Super enhanced and Metro2 single item challenge. So if you've got one charge off, one account with 1 to 2 late payments, and one account with 3 plus late payments, and you separate from other P&Ts, it's going to use this attack for those single items. So that's what, that's how Gala is making its
Got
decision.
it. Got it. Okay. So it sounds like if we're, kind of inexperienced with the
If
the
you're
likelihood of some of the other ones, just go with
if
the
you're
statistically.
inexperienced, you click create now. If you want
Okay.
to get a little bit more aggressive, you click show content boxes and you select from
Got
other
it.
P&Ts. That's the only thing I do. And I
Okay.
process, like today alone, I processed about 120 people.
Wow.
And
Awesome.
on probably 90 of those people I did create now. The rest I did separate from other PNTs.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Can I ask one more quick
I
question?
don't get fancy because when you get fancy, you're going to actually hurt your chances.
Right. We don't want that.
Right. I'm going to let Gala make the decisions based on what it's learned to be most effective. Like I said, we use Gala has LI. And a lot of people don't know what that means. LI stands for learned intelligence. It's learning what's most effective. Okay. A lot of other softwares claim that or say they have AI. AI is great, but AI has limitations. Okay.
Right.
AI searches the internet for the most popular answer. And that's what it's gonna use. Well, it may not be the most effective answer, it may not be the right answer. It's just the
Right.
most popular answer. I mean,
Right.
I'm an older guy. I grew up in the 80s. I grew up during Michael Jordan at his best. You ask me who the GOAT of basketball is, I'm going to tell you Jordan. You ask someone who's 21 who the GOAT is, they're probably going to say LeBron James. If you actually look at their comparison, look at their stats, Jordan may have better stats than LeBron. That would mean Jordan's the GOAT. I'm not trying to start an argument. I'm just, as an example, that would say that Jordan's the GOAT. But if more people are polled and they say LeBron's the GOAT, and you
He's
ask
more
AI
popular.
who the GOAT is, he's going to tell you LeBron, but that may not be the correct answer.
Got it.
Got it?
Got it.
So what Gala does is it only evaluates, it does not evaluate anything on the internet. It only evaluates what it learns.
Understood.
Okay.
Thank you for
And
that
that's
explanation,
that's
Brent.
by evaluating results over the previous 90 days. Now, people ask me, well, how does it evaluate results? Well, every time you upload a refreshed credit report, it evaluates that credit report against the previous credit report. It sees what's been deleted, and then it evaluates from everybody else doing the same thing. What were the results based on what was done in the past? So it's collecting that data. So the LI's got two parts. First part is called the DRM. That's detailed results matrix. It's collecting that data, collecting that statistical logics. Then the second half is where it selects the appropriate manner in which to attack those negative accounts based on what it's learned, based on that data that it's collected. So that is how the LI works. That is how Gala selects the most effective attack. Okay, Chris, I see you have your hand up.
Thanks, Brent.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so the yellow and the red client info, is that an error message?
Say that again.
So when you have the client info right here in the yellow
Uh-huh.
with the red
Like I said,
lettering,
that's only been happening the last 2 or 3 days, and that's because um, I'm not even seeing it. Where's it at? So you can
but
see all of my clients' information is there. That's because when you create a profile now, okay, let me create a profile. It asks you if it's an I-10 or if it's a social security number. Okay. So that's happening because the profiles were created prior to this update. In fact, this separation right here is only as of today. Yesterday, it was two different sections, one for social and one for I-10. And then we realized, no, it needs to be one section because if you put social only, it's going to give you that yellow flag saying that the social or the I-10 is missing. So now you only select social security number or I-10 and you put the last four. But that's why it's got that yellow box. But if you click on the yellow box, you'll see nothing's missing because if something's missing, this will be yellow and it'll tell you what's missing. It'll say you're missing the last four of the social.
okay, tracking.
Uh-huh. All right. Yeah. Another question, Maurice?
Yes. Is using the notarized identification form still recommended?
Okay. So are you referring to like a power of attorney?
Yes.
Okay. That's a hot topic. I use a power of attorney. My primary reason for using a power of attorney is it makes me look more professional with the client. The client said, "Oh, they need a power of attorney." It makes me look more professional. There's an
Okay.
old term.
So you
There's
use
an
power of
old
attorney
term.
in lieu of.
I use a power of attorney. It's a one-page document that I send to a client. It's got their name and all that on it. They have to fill it out, and then they have to get it notarized. And it's just saying that they give me the authority to send disputes in on their behalf. Okay. There's an old saying that I learned back in college: act as if. Act as if you're a professional, and in the eyes of your clients, you're a professional. There's also another term that perception is reality. If they perceive you to be a professional, you're a professional.
100%.
If they perceive you to be an amateur, you're an amateur.
100%.
Okay. Now, I have found that using a power of attorney, and I send a copy of the power of attorney with every letter I send out every single round, whether it's my client's first round or my client's fourth round. And I have found that it does somewhat reduce the number of stall letters my clients are getting, but not 100%. But my primary reason is that professionalism. You know, my service agreement is like 7 pages long. I'm not using one of these 2-page service agreements from a CRM. My service agreement is 7 pages long. It's got their name in it 4 different times. It's got the pricing in it 2 different times. It's got their name and address on it. It's specific to the client. Everything I do is about professionalism. Okay. And that brings me to another topic. Okay. We're talking about identification documents. I crop and size all identification documents. Okay. I don't want a letter that's got a driver's license that's sideways or upside down.
Right.
I see it every day because I do the printing and mailing. I see it every day. I don't want a driver's license where the picture is this big, but the driver's license is really tiny in the center because there's all this garbage around it. I crop and size documents, and I make them all the same size so that it's clean looking. I like clean looking. It's professional looking because it's not uncommon to have a client ask for a copy of their letters. Maybe it's because they want to verify that you're doing something, or maybe it's because they think they can copy your letters and do it themselves. But trust me, when they get these letters, they know they can't copy. Okay.
Right.
So let me show you what I'm referring to. So let me go to downloads. I'm going to open this one of these letters that I did, and I'm going to show you the identification documents on the letter so you can see what I'm talking about.
Yes. And while you're pulling that up, Brent, we just upload these documents to the client's profile?
Correct. After you've cropped them and sized them.
Okay.
Okay. So let me share. So here's one of the letters that I just created for John Doe. And if I scroll to the bottom, you can see that the driver's license is cropped. You can see the social security card is cropped, and you can see that the proof of address is cropped. I don't use the entire page of a utility bill because that image is going to be so large that the software is going to compress it. And then you're going to wind up with a really tiny proof of address on your letter. So I crop it. I only use the payment coupon, which is typically the bottom third of a bill. If you're using a bank statement, I use the top third of the page, or if it's a W-2, I use the top third. And I make the driver's license and the social, I make those 700 pixels wide. And the proof of address, I make 1,000 because the print's usually a lot smaller. So I want that image a little bit bigger. And that is what I call clean. You know, I don't have any of that garbage in the background. You know, and that's what I want. I want it to be clean and professional because I don't want to send clients a letter that's got their driver's license upside down. That's not professional. That's not professional.
Nobody.
Right. So this is what I want for my identification documents. I want it to be cropped and I want it to be sized appropriately. I don't want the driver's license to be this size and then the social security card to be like an inch wide. That's not professional. So I crop and size all my documents. I use Paint. I have a Windows-based computer. Paint is a free app that's on there. Paint, it makes it a really quick process. But while I've got this open, let me show you some of these letters. Okay, so let me open 2 other letters. Okay, so I want you to kind of look at this letter. Okay, see all this before we even get to anything? I want you to look at that. Okay, and then I want you to look at this. Okay. It's not as long because there's different language. Okay. It's long, but not as long. This one, same thing. It's long, but not as long. But I also want you to look, to the designated authority. Okay. And this happens to be the letters that I did separate from other PMTs. You can see this letter is very specific and precise to whatever that negativity type is. Now, if I open letters that I did where everything was combined, you'll see how the letters differ. Okay. And like I said, when you combine everything, if you're just clicking create now, it's still an effective attack, but it's not as effective as if you did separate from other PMTs, but there's a trade-off. You have to look at efficiency and you have to look at effectiveness. Efficient is just that, it's less letters and it's less work. Effective is the opposite of efficient. It's more letters and more work. If you do just create now, you're going to have effective letters, but you're going to have slightly more effective letters if you separate from other PMTs. So we're going to open these letters. Remember, this is the same client. Okay, I did both of these attacks using my sample client. So these are the same client, same credit report, everything's the same. But I want you to see. Give it a second. Share. So you can see here, how the letters are different. Okay, because it's having specific language. You notice the language is different based on the derogatory type. So the letters are completely different. Yeah, letters are completely. So look at that. I mean, I want you to look at like this top part. And that's because it's different bureaus. The software has learned what each bureau responds to. And so every letter is 100% unique and 100% different based on what the system has learned to be most effective for those particular derogatories and that particular bureau. I'm going to close that out. So got another question. How is that one done? What do you mean, how is that done? What are you talking about, George? Speak up. George, you have a question?
Well,
Okay.
maybe while we're waiting on George, Brent, do we still have to
Yeah.
get power of attorneys notarized?
I tell my client to, yes.
Okay.
And
Okay.
here's what a lot of people, I've had people say, oh, well, power of attorney, it costs money to get that notarized. No, it doesn't. If you have a bank account, go to your bank. They will notarize a single document for you for free. So if you have an account with Chase, you can walk into Chase, show them your IDs, say, I need this document notarized, and they'll notarize it for free.
And also, although identification document and a power of attorney are two different things, well, they are two different things, although we're using them to accomplish the same thing. Is that correct?
Well, the power of attorney is basically telling the bureaus that I have the authority to send in disputes on my client's behalf.
So that's way better than the client doing the identification letter saying it's them.
Well, the identification documents are a requirement.
Well, not the
You're
identity.
required to provide a photo ID. You're required to provide proof of address, and you're required to provide the last four of the social. Those are requirements.
So what
Okay.
about like an identification form? Like I've been using that for a while. I'm
If you
wondering.
want to do an identification form, you can. I mean, you could have all three IDs documents on a single page.
Right. And
And
my,
you
my
could
question,
probably include the power of attorney and the identification documents on a single page. I just upload my identification documents. But yeah, you could do that.
okay, but but a notarized identification form functions differently than a power of attorney. Is that right?
Correct. Correct. The power of
Okay.
attorney
Okay.
is just saying this individual has I have the authority to dispute these derogatory items on behalf of my client.
Okay. And the
That's
other
all
form
it
just says I am who I say I am as the
correct.
client. Okay.
Correct.
I need to add a power of attorney then to my
Yeah.
workflow.
And I mean, like I said, I mean, if you want a copy of mine, I'll send you a copy of mine. It's, you know, and it was drafted by an attorney. I had an attorney do all of my documents.
Yes,
You know, like
please.
when I sign up a new client, I send them my service agreement. Like I said, it's like 7, 8 pages. I send them the power of attorney. I send them a credit card authorization form because I don't send invoices to a client and wait for them to pay it. I get a credit card, I put it on file, I set it up in my merchant account so that it's automatically charged every 30 days. Okay. I'm not going to play around and chase people for payment. Okay. It's automatically set up. I also send a document that I put together. I didn't write it. I got information from the bureaus and I put all of this information together, and it's called a consumer rights document. And it basically outlines a consumer's rights when it comes to disputing with the bureaus. And I make them sign that. That way they can't say down the road, well, you never told me that. Yes, I did. It's right here and you signed it.
Right.
You know,
Okay. Yeah.
again,
How can I get a
it's all
copy of that
about
power of
being
attorney?
professional. It's all about being professional.
Exactly. You never know who's going to look at this stuff. So,
I mean, let's be honest. I mean, let's be honest. Most of these people that we're doing credit repair for have a history of not paying their bills.
right.
Okay. They
Right.
have a history of making poor decisions.
Right.
The last thing I want is for someone to try to sue me because they quit paying on a credit card 3 years ago, and then the creditor decides to sue them next month. That's not my fault. It has nothing to do with anything that I've done, but I don't want them to try to come after me saying that they got sued because I disputed the charge off. So
Right.
everything that I do is about protecting me.
Right. 100%.
Okay. It's, I mean, we have to. I mean, you
You
know,
have to.
you have to. I mean, cops wear, you know, body cams now to protect themselves against false allegations. It's all
100%.
about protecting me.
Right.
So,
Right. How can I
you
get
know,
that power of attorney document from you, Brent?
just message me through Facebook and I'll send it to you.
Facebook? Okay. Thank you very much.
Oh, so cropping the identification documents, I use Paint. I have a Windows-based computer. So if, you know, I go to that little box on the bottom and I type Paint, and I'll show you what Paint looks like. So I go to the image, and so let me find an image. So let me find an image, and I'll show you. So let me find an image that I can show you. So so I have the image. The client sends me their identification documents, and then I'm going to open them using Paint, and then I'm going to crop. Come on. Like I said, I'm sorry, my computer's slow. Okay, so let me stop sharing and share again. So I open the document in Paint. So hopefully y'all can see that. And then I'm going to click the crop. Okay, so I cut it out. I'm going to do new. And boom, so I've cropped that document. And then I come here and I can size the document. Then I save it, and that's what I upload into Gala. It's really that easy. I mean, that took me, what, 30 seconds, if that long? And I do that for all 3 documents. Okay, so share. You know, there's, you know, I've learned a lot of things over the years. Like I said, everything that I do in terms of paperwork, I do to protect myself. Okay, I'll give you another example of something today. You have the ability, okay, to send this link to a client. They can create a portal and they can upload their documents and they can create their profile. I do not do that, and I'll tell you why. Your client doesn't know that they're supposed to only capitalize the first letter of their first name and only capitalize the first letter of their last name. They don't know they're not supposed to put the number sign on an apartment number or not supposed to put AP T in the apartment number. They don't know they need to spell out street or spell out avenue. They don't need to know that. They don't know they need to do all of that. And then they upload their identification documents. Maybe they didn't put in the last four of the social. So the last thing you want to do is create letters where the social's missing. Okay. Maybe they forget to upload identification documents. So now you got to chase your client down to get identification documents so that you can upload them. I received an order today for printing and mailing, and this is no exaggeration. And where it said photo ID was a selfie. Not a photo, not a copy of their driver's license. It was a selfie. Okay. So I had to email the CRO and say, hey, you need to get a copy of their driver's license. Okay. And it could be a driver's license. It could be a ID card. It could be military ID card. It could be a passport. It's any state or government issued identification card that's got your picture on it. That is what the bureaus require. But yeah, they literally uploaded a selfie, a picture that they took with their phone of themselves because it said photo ID. They just assumed that meant selfie. So I don't want to have to chase people down. So I don't even give them that option. I ask for everything that I want up front. I have a really specific email that I send. It's got their paperwork attached. It tells them exactly what I need from them. And then once I got all their information, that's when I charge their credit card. And that's when I start working on their file. And this is just stuff I've learned over the years. I've learned from mistakes. I've learned what works and what doesn't work. For me at least, what works for me and what doesn't work for me. I can only speak to my experience. Okay, Chris, you got another question?
Yeah. So say if I'm letting you print and mail my stuff, but after I submit everything, I realized that I had like an old document or old bill or something like that.
We usually we evaluate every letter, all letters.
Okay.
And like I said today, the guy had the selfie as a photo ID, and I emailed the CRO and I said, I need a photo ID for this client.
But it won't be additional token, is what I'm saying.
No. You don't have to generate. You just email it to me and I add it to the letter.
Got it. Okay.
If your client is missing, I had this happen today. If your client's missing the last four of the social in their profile, but the client did provide a social security number, I edit the letters and I add the social. I can do that. I have the premium version of Adobe Acrobat, so it's like editing a Word document. So when we're printing and mailing, if we identify an issue, we change it. If the address on the profile says 123 Main Street and the identification document says 567 Jones Street, we're going to edit it to where they match.
Okay. And just real quick, because you said last name, only the first one is capitalized. But
yeah. So
in my case, I'm an MC capital N. I can still capitalize, right?
Yeah. So your name, the way it is on here is how I would do it. Capital M, lowercase, capital N. Because that's the proper spelling of your name. But I see it all the time where somebody will send me letters for printing and mailing, and the first and last name are all caps. Okay. And we have to edit that, and that takes time. We do it. We're not going to tell you to fix it and then use another credit. We print it. We'll edit it because, like I said, it only takes a second. My staff all has a premium version of Adobe, and we do this. I've been doing printing and mailing for the Metro softwares for over 7 years. And it's something that we've always done because you shouldn't have to use another credit. I mean, credits are expensive. You shouldn't have to use another credit because an error was made. Whether it's your client who created a profile or you created the profile and you forgot to put the last four of the social. Okay, so let me talk about the CRM. Okay, so if you're in this industry and you've got 5 or more clients, you should be using a CRM. CRMs have a huge benefit. They allow you to manage your clients. They allow you to communicate with your clients on a consistent basis through a drip campaign so your clients stay engaged. My clients get emails through the drip campaign that they think are coming directly from me, and I've had them respond to the email saying, oh, thank you for the information. Okay. They allow you to do a lot of things. They allow you to generate a credit analysis. They allow you to generate a results report. They allow you to, like I said, communicate with your clients through the drip campaign. You can create invoices and your clients can pay those invoices and they're automatically charged. And there's a lot of stuff you could do with the CRM. There's a lot of well-known CRMs that are on the market. I've used them all. I started off 13 years ago using Credit Repair Cloud. I then switched over to Client Dispute Manager, used them for a number of years. Then I switched over to Credit Repair Cloud. I've been using them for about 5 years. CRMs are an invaluable tool. They do cost money, so I typically tell people, unless you've got 5 clients or more, it's kind of hard to justify that cost. Rodney and I have created a CRM. We haven't released it yet. I think he's shooting for the 15th. And it's going to have everything that any CRM out there has, plus a lot of stuff that none of the CRMs have. I mean, it's going to have an interactive letter, so you can actually literally watch as the system is creating the letters. It's going to allow you to ask, why did you put this here? Why did you put that there? It's going to tell you, based on the Federal Credit Reporting Act and based on the Metro2 compliance reporting standards, why it put certain language where it put it. It's going to have all of that. It's going to be unreal, unlike anything you've ever seen. There's people on this call that I know have been testing it for us. And it's going to be amazing. I can't wait for it to come out. It's going to be integrated with Gala. So you'll be able to have both items in one software. But you can also use the CRM as a standalone product if you want to. We haven't 100% nailed down the pricing, but the pricing that we're leaning towards is if you want to use the CRM as a standalone product, the CRM is going to be like $87 a month. And I can tell you right now, the cheapest CRM out there is $120 a month. If you use it in combination with Gala, there's going to be special pricing if you're using both. I'll give you an example. If you're using Gala and you have like 5 clients and you want to use the CRM, it would be $87 for the CRM and the Gala credits would be $15 a piece. Okay. That's actually cheaper than if you want to buy 5 Gala credits. If you have a lot more clients than that, if you have 10 clients or more, you can get unlimited credits for Gala and the CRM, and I think it's $250 a month. Okay. Right now, Rodney's running a promotion. We've already had like 40 people sign up for it, and he's only making it available to 250 people. And that is you get unlimited credits for a year with Gala, and you get the CRM for a year, and it's like $1,500, and that's for the entire year. So, but again, you can use the CRM as a standalone product, or if you've only got, less than 5 clients or less, you can just do $15 a credit plus the CRM. Or you don't have to use the CRM at all. You can just use Gala without a CRM. That's perfectly fine. So right now, I'm not going to demo the CRM because Rodney's making changes, on an hourly basis. And a lot of the features are turned off. You can't actually see them or utilize them. So I'm not going to demo that. But again, he's going to be releasing it. He's shooting for the 15th. He's kind of a perfectionist, and unless he's 100% happy with every little piece of it, he's not going to release it. But he's shooting for the 15th. Let's see, questions. Yeah, Jessica said the CRM will make it easier. So like I'll give you an example. When you do a credit analysis, if you're using any of the other CRMs, it's going to make a nice little report for you. It's going to say your client has these 5 negative accounts and your client has these 8 inquiries, and the utilization is this, and this with the different bureaus in terms of their credit cards. And that's basically it. With the CRM that we're coming out, it's going to be called Credit Challenge Pro. The credit analysis that the CRM is going to create is going to say, you've got these 5 negative accounts. this is what's inaccurate and non-compliant with this account. This is what is inaccurate and non-compliant with this account. And then it's going to show you what the argument is going to be that we're going to use with the bureaus to get those items deleted based on what those deviations of the standard are. It's got a lot of information. So now you can have that consultation with the client. You could say, I see that you've got these 5 accounts. This particular account, what I'm seeing, the issue with this account is that this is inaccurate and this is inaccurate. And then you also have these data points that are non-compliant. This is what I'm going to argue with the bureaus for deletion with. And now you sound like a true professional. You sound different than everybody out there that's just saying, oh, you got 5 negative accounts that I'm going to dispute for you. It's just going to put you at a different level. And, because Rodney's thing is, and I agree 100%, his thing is education. Why is the system doing what it's doing? This way you can educate yourself on why the system's doing what it's doing. And by doing that, you become a more knowledgeable professional, and you can have higher level, more knowledgeable conversations with your client. So, that is kind of the thinking behind, all of the things what we're doing within the CRM. This is something I've asked Rodney to do for 2 years, and he and I have been working on this for the last 6 months. And we're excited for it to come out. It's not going to be flashy like some of the other CRMs, but it's going to be, it's going to have a lot of content. It's going to be very precise in the features that it offers. Any more questions? I know that Arlie likes to keep these calls at an hour and a half, so we're right at that hour and a half mark. So any questions on anything on generating attacks, on uploading documents, on anything, the CRM, anything? No? All right. We'll go ahead and end the call. Oh, got one more question. Can we see the CRM? Like I said, there's a lot of the CRM that's not activated, but I'll show you what it looks like. Stop. Share. Okay, so log in. Okay, this is a CRM, so you can create clients just like you would with any other CRM. Once you send that first round, it'll actually have a countdown telling you when the next round is due. You can send a link to your client and they can create, upload their own documents, all of that. Like I said, I don't do that. I'm very particular about that, but it's got a drip campaign. You can go in here and you can edit, you can add, you can change the dates of when these letters are sent out. And there's a whole drip campaign that it sends out after every round. It'll send your client a letter letting them know what items have been disputed on their behalf. Once you upload a new report and it shows you what items have been deleted, you can send a report to your client letting them know what's been deleted. It's got an affiliate section, so you can create a profile for a referral partner. You can send them an invite. They can then create a username and password. They can log into a portal, and then they can submit referrals to you. Once that referral converts, then it gives you put in there what you're paying your affiliate. So let's say I'm paying my affiliate $50 for every referral that converts. It'll show you how much you owe that client. It's just, one of those things. They have an Ask Seer. So this is very similar to like a ChatGPT, but it's 100% Metro2 focused. And so you can ask about, FCRA, legal rights, Metro2 compliant. You can ask it just like you would ChatGPT. You can ask it all these things. It's got a calendar. You can create invoices. You can attach your merchant account. When your client pays, they can pay directly through the CRM. It's got a lead section, so you can create leads, and then you can convert the lead over to a client. This is what I like. This is the best part. So we have the work zone. So let's say I create a client profile and I'll upload their report. You click here. Okay, we're going to make this look pretty. Okay, that's not pretty. We're going to make that look pretty. But I've got a client credit report. I'm scrolling down. This is a negative account. And it's got all these little things highlighted. These are all the items that are non-compliant. And if you click on this little tab, it tells you everything you need to know about that account, about that particular data point on the credit report. So all of these items have their own explanation. It tells you exactly what that is, how it's non-compliant, and what kind of arguments you can make with the bureaus. Okay, that's what's going to separate this CRM from other CRMs. And that's for every negative account on the credit report. It's going to highlight all of the data points that are non-compliant and tell you why they're non-compliant. And then, like I said, you're in the work zone. Come up here. And this is where you can generate a tax. So if somebody's using this strictly as a standalone, it will have the SEER challenges, SIR. If they're using it with Gala, they're going to be integrated. If you're using Prodigy Surge, they're going to be integrated. Any questions on this? Well, I appreciate everyone taking the time. Got one more. Oh, yeah. Jessica says she loves the CRM. She's one of the ones that have been helping us test it. Again, we do this training on Mondays and on Thursdays.
Yes, sir.
What's that, Arlie?
I just said yes, sir. Yes, sir. But I just wanted to add something real quick for this one that's coming up on Monday. Remember, Rodney Peak promised if we get to 100 people that participate on that Monday training, then he was going to give something out for free, right?
He's going to give everyone 1 month free access to SEER. If 100 people that are more on the call that are affiliates with My Free Score Now, I think he said he'll give them like 3 months.
3 months, yeah. So let's that's kind of wild. I don't think we've ever hit that number. So let's try one thing. Let's just try to get 100 people, right? And we hope they're all affiliates, but if they're not, they're always welcome. So just want to bring that out there. Let's bring your teammates, bring your mom, bring your dad. Let's get that number to 100 on Monday, and hold Rodney Peak to his little wager that he put on us. So
yeah, Rodney's always giving away stuff. I know the number sounds big, $1,500, but think about it. It's unlimited credits and access to the CRM for a year. So you're talking a little over $100 a month. If that's something you're interested in, you can reach out to me. If you need like a small payment plan, like you want to pay it over a period of a couple of months, that's something we can arrange.
Yep. And then if you break it down even further than that, that's about only like $3-4 a day, and then we spend more of that on Starbucks and a sandwich. So if you can't invest $3-4 a day into your business, I don't know if you should be in business, right? So with that, just make sure you guys join us Monday, 4 p.m. with my man Brent Bradford. That's 4 p.m. Pacific time, and I'll be sending out all the messages with the links, and then make sure you guys forward that to your team, forward that to your family, and let's hit 100. You guys have a phenomenal weekend. Is there anything else you want to tell them, Brent?
Jordan's to go.
I'm not gonna say anything. We're gonna be here for a whole nother hour. So you guys take care. Be safe later.
All right,
I'm excited. I'm excited. Let's go. They're gonna call me J. Will Jr., baby. Let's go.
Come on, Chris McNair. You know it.
All right, everyone have a good night.
Later.
Bye.